Friday again. Our favorite day of the week. Because for many of us, it means that our weekend is starting. And it's time to party with all of our friends around the world who are stitching with us at the same time. I can't tell you how much fun I've been having with this group and this group of people and this sort of concept of everybody joining in all together all over the world during their own time zone and stitching a bit of, self-care, a bit of time for yourself, a bit of time just to relax and not feel any guilt about taking that time to spend for yourself on your hobby that you love. Well, I don't feel guilty, at least. I hope you don't either. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome. It is Friday, January 26th, and I finally sat down to record this at 2:40 p.m. in the afternoon on my Friday. And it has taken me a little longer to get to my stitching chair today than I intended. However, I had some very important errands to run this morning, including stopping in at my local Needleworks shop, Thread and I, which is my absolute favorite place in the whole wide world. One of them anyways. And as you can see from the picture that I inserted at the beginning of this video, I ran into Miss Patty. I ran into my friend Miss Patty at the shop. I gone in, and 5 minutes after I showed up, she walked in the door, and it was so nice to see her. She was there buying some supplies for another canvas work card that she's stitching up, and it was in pinks, and I think there was some greens in the card as well, but she was concentrating on these sort of corals and pink colors that she had picked out to do the canvas work around them. And she has a very good eye, Miss Patty, and the colors that she'd chosen to go with that card were stunning. Anyways, I took a photograph of us so that I could share it with you because I thought you might like to see her. And she wanted me to let everybody know, anyone who'd left a comment for her or a really nice compliment on her house or the things that she'd stitched. I should back up a little bit. For those who do not know what I'm talking about, I did a house tour of Miss Patty's house back, I'm going to say it was episode 16, 19. I can't remember. I'm going to have to go back and check it out. The video that has a thumbnail clip of me holding up a Christmas ornament that was made by Crafty Kim with a pair of red and white mittens and snowflakes on it. And Kim backed the ornament on a wooden snowflake decoration. The episode that has that as its thumbnail, that's the episode that has the visit to Miss Patty's house. And she took us around and showed us her amazing projects and wonderful designs. And well, as I am, you all fell equally in love with her because she's fantastic. So she wanted me to tell you that she so appreciated everything that everyone had said and, the kind words that everyone had said, but she really has struggled with being able to respond. For some reason, she's had difficulty getting on and logging in and being able to leave comments that for some reason it doesn't seem to be working for her. And since I'm not at her house and don't have the ability to check her technology at the moment, not that that's to say I would be able to figure it out, because normally I just pass things to my husband and he either takes them into work and has them fixed, or he just does it for me. So anyways, I just wanted you to know that she really truly wished to express her thanks and wished that she could reply individually to each and every one of you that left her such nice things that you said. So, oh, she's a very dear person, Miss Patty. Anyways, and of course I saw my friend Kathy and Neil, the owners of the shop there at Thread and I, and as my other good friends. It was really nice to have a very quick catch up with them this morning. Not nearly long enough, but I always have to recognize when I go in there that they are very busy shop owners, and I can't completely monopolize their time when I'm there. So I do know that one of our Missy, I believe that you're headed down to Thread and I tomorrow at some point, and I hope you enjoy your visit. I hope you enjoy your time there. So now further to the fact that I was at Thread and I am going to be putting out a little video, a little extra video this weekend. Most likely on Sunday. And it's not a stitching video. It's not a Stitch With Me video. It's going to be a special video, and I think you're really going to want to watch it. So make a little mental note that when you see that video pop up that you're going to want to watch it. And that's all I'm going to say. And don't worry, it's going to be a very short video. I won't blather on and on and on. But I think you're going to like what I have to say. And hopefully you'll join in. 2 words, and they sound like giveaway. Is that 1 word or 2 words? I really think that's 2 words. Is it 2 words? Someone please correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that ridiculous? I would say giveaway as 2 words, but I think it's usually spelt as 1 word. I guess it's 1 word. Oh dear, I'm starting to ramble. So that was my morning. I ran some other errands and then stopped at Thread and I, which was as always a delight, and saw Miss Patty, then came home. Oops. Did a bit more work, got ready to record. And you know, time just seems to slip away. Oh, and I managed to go out to breakfast this morning with John and Sarah, which was a really nice treat. My daughter is in the midst of exams, and today is her very last. So I guess she's not in the midst of exams. She's at the end of hers. Today is her last one, whereas many of the other children at school still have another week left of exams to go. Sarah only had 2 this time around, and yesterday was her first, and today is her second. So I think she's quite excited. Today was her English exam. In fact, she's done by now. It is, yeah, she has done her exam now, so I think she was going to a friend's house after. When they get to that age where they're old enough to get themselves where they need to be, it becomes harder to gauge what time it is and where they are. I don't tend to run my clock around her schedule anymore, which kind of makes me a little sad. But anyways, Nicholas is still small, so now I just need to count. What you can't see is this motif that's right here is repeated just over here on the other side. I'll move it over so that you can see it, but it will sort of jerk around because my frame is caught on the chair. So there you can see it. So this one here, everything is repeated. These little guys happen all over the place, all over the border. The butterfly is repeated in each of the 4 corners. Since I showed this piece on Monday, I have since completed this one. Maybe, I can't remember if I did both of these or just the one. Obviously this large center motif here and these 2, and now I'm working my way across. I also completed some more of the sort of checkerboard border there. How's that? Is that straight? Last week when I recorded and when I brought the frame back in and it was so crooked, I thought, oh dear, they don't want to watch that but I couldn't go back in and re-record it. So I'll make sure it's straight. It looks good. Okay, so back to what we're doing here. I have to find my, oop, I'm a little closer than I was, I think. There, okay. Very technical, aren't I? Anyway, so I'm just following what I did for the last motif that matches this, and then I don't have to look at my pattern, which makes it kind of nice. But I've been loving this, working on this again. It has felt like such a treat, and I think what's making it even nicer are my new glasses, because this is 40 count white linen, and I'm not having any trouble at all seeing it. I have very good lighting, and my frame, I have it a little higher than I used to, so it's slightly closer to my face. But with my new glasses, good lighting, and the good quality stand, I can see it quite well. So that's quite nice. I think I'll go right over and end it for there. I am using the called for Dinky Dyes silks, except for this darker shade here, which is, actually I can look that up because I've got my colors here. Okay, so it's the dark red is Needlearts Weathered Barn. So that's the cotton that I'm using for that. The Dinky Dyes colors are, let's see, sorry, moving everything around here. So that's the Floss Toss. These are the new skeins that I've got. So Dusty Rose is the light color that I'm working with right now. And Cherry Wood. Cherry Wood is the medium color, and that's the color of the butterflies in the corner, and also quite a lot more of the work that's in the center of the design. I'm really enjoying these colors. I think I like it just as much as I love Shades of Blue, which has been... Do you know what this is? This is so funny because this came out of nowhere. I don't know if you can even see it, but it's one of my beagle's hairs, and he passed away a little while ago, so I'm not sure where that came out of and why it all of a sudden appeared on my frame, but anyways. So yeah, those are the threads that I'm using and loving. So this is coming along quite well. Amazing what happens when you are monogamous with a project, isn't it? Anyways, so for tonight's stitch in, the 6-hour stitch in, I'm going to be going back and forth between my stitching and my knitting, because we started a similar group over with the Fiber Friends podcast. And if you didn't hear about that on Monday, it's called the Fiber Friends Friday Night Knit In, and that is also another group on Facebook. And it's the exact same premise. It is a Facebook group where we check in with each other, a community. The cross-stitching group is called Friday Off the Grid. I hope you'll join us. We are almost 1,000 members strong, and just a lovely group of people. Really, really kind and supportive and wonderful. And let me tell you, some amazing stitchers, some wonderful projects being shared over on the Facebook group. So tonight I will be dividing my time betwixt the knitters and the stitchers. So what I think that means is I think that means that I get to add an extra hour on either end, don't you? I think I should add some extra time. I think that's only fair so that my projects can receive equal attention. So I will be working only on this piece as my stitching project this evening. So I'm hoping with a good chunk of time that I will be able to make some very good progress. And then as far as knitting goes, there is another shawl that I'm working on. It's called the Om shawl. That's O-M shawl. And it's by Andrea Mowry Designs. And she is a wonderful designer. So what I'll do is on Monday, I'll share a little bit of that knitting project with you. I like to save most of those details for the Fiber Friends podcast, but I'm not exactly sure when we are going to be recording again. Those people who are on the Fiber Friends Facebook group will already know this, but if you have watched the Fiber Friends before and you're not a member of the Facebook group, it's quite likely that you actually don't know what has happened. My good friend Louise, who is the knitting teacher and designer of our trio, last Friday night, so we had started the knit in and the stitch in, and Louise was starting late because she was at a yarn shop in St. Thomas, Ontario, which is very close to London, just outside of London. She was teaching a knitting class on double knitting at the Little Red Mitten in St. Thomas. And when she left the building to go home, she slipped on a very small piece of ice that was sort of outside of the way. She had gone sort of just off the path in order to get around something, I think, in order to get into the parking lot, and slipped on some ice and fell down, and in a nutshell, broke her kneecap in half. Just let that sink in for a minute. She broke her kneecap in half. So I can't even imagine. Well, I can imagine. I've been to see her since it happened, and she is such a trooper. I mean, she sent everyone a picture on the Friday night to the Facebook group, and she said, "Well, I'm sorry I won't be joining you tonight. My plans have changed." And the photograph was of her on a gurney waiting in the emergency room. And what was she doing on the gurney? She was knitting. Of course she was knitting. Louise knits. Louise knits more than I stitch, and I stitch a lot. So you can only imagine. I think I missed a stitch there. Did I fill it in? That's better. So those of you who watch the Fiber Friends who have watched us in the past and know my friends of whom I'm speaking, I know that you'll join me in wishing Louise well and a speedy recovery. She is scheduled for surgery, hopefully on Monday or Tuesday. But as to when we will be recording, that all depends on how she's feeling. We are hoping to record an episode next Friday. We're hoping to set up in her living room where she's comfortable and record a video. Now, this is what Louise would like to do. Whether or not Louise's doctors would like us to do that, and whether they think that she should be doing anything like that next Friday, we're just going to wait and see. And then Adrian and I will do what we're told. So, my poor friend. Oh, okay. So, I think that's looking pretty darn nice. There's one here. You may remember that I had said I was going to Thread and Eye to pick up some Brethren Blue. Well, sadly for me, and sadly for Kathy at Thread and Eye, it is still back-ordered. No Brethren Blue for me. So you know what that means. That means that Ink Circles is the tapestry design is indefinitely on hold for me until that thread comes in. I'm just not willing to to carry on with that without doing the fill-in with the Brother in Blue, because that's how I would enjoy stitching it, where I know that things are in the right place and I don't have to work overly hard at counting or being worried about making errors. So, but that's okay. I have plenty of other things to work on. And I'm sure you're all quietly laughing at me, because isn't that the truth? I also may have picked up the fabric for my Prairie Schoolers alphabet series. I am planning, well, I'm not planning, I am now, since I have the fabric. I will be doing it on one piece of fabric. It is a 27 count Linda fabric, which I don't think I'd heard of before, but Kathy pulled out a few samples off the wall of selections of fabric that she thought might work. And I compared it with the Monaco, and the way that I stitch, the way that I like things, the Linda fabric was slightly stiffer, just very, very, very slightly stiffer. And I thought that I would enjoy trying it. So that is on the agenda, maybe even this weekend. I have a lap frame that has stretcher bars on it that are massive, like really, really, really long, obscenely long. And this is a table frame. And I'm going to be using those bars for the alphabet because it's a pretty big piece of fabric. What was the stitch count again? It was something like 673 by, or 690 by 300. I can't quite remember. It's big. It's big. And I find that absolutely thrilling. I can't wait to start it. I've been so enjoying seeing the other versions that are cropping up. And Letitia works on hers, the Crafty Curator. One of my favorites. She works on hers every Friday night. And seeing her letters come to life and how much pleasure she's getting from it makes me very excited about getting mine started. Now, is that? Yeah, that is right. Letitia is just a riot. She makes me laugh. Speaking of other podcasters, did you see Ginger Gerald's pattern that he designed? If you haven't seen it yet, the last video that he just put out a couple of days ago, it was a live YouTube feed video, and you can always scroll through the first few minutes where he's getting set up and chatting with people, because obviously you can't read what other people are writing at that point. It's of course too late. It's already happened. So, but you can scroll forward just a couple of minutes and then you'll hear Gerald start to talk about what he's been up to lately. And what he's been up to has been, he's done a little bit of designing. And he has designed a black work mushroom. And it's pretty cool. I will admit that I may have gone to his Etsy shop and I may have downloaded it for myself. So I purchased his pattern, and what I am going to do is I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm going to take Gerald's design, and he has done, if you watch his video, the underside of the mushroom he's done in a satin stitch. And I think, excuse me, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take his pattern and I'm going to take the specialty stitches and the black work, and I'm going to turn it all into a satin stitch, because the shape of his mushroom is perfect. It really is. It's a great, great shape. And you know, there's something going on called the mushroom stitch along, and everybody's stitching a mushroom design. And well, I'm a joiner. I like to join in with things. So I think that I would like to also stitch a mushroom. I'm going to stitch Gerald's mushroom, but I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm going to take out the roots from the bottom. I'm going to put in the satin stitches, and let me tell you why. And here's a little secret between you and me. I don't like specialty stitches. I'm one of those, I think I'm unusual that way. I will avoid specialty stitches. The twisted band sampler comes also from Northern Expressions Needleworks. The twisted band sampler, you could either purchase it as a specialty stitch version or the cross stitch version. And I purchased the cross stitch version. I know how to do specialty stitches. I know how to look up directions to follow in order to do specialty stitches. And I have enough experience in my aged person to be able to figure them out. And they irritate me. Isn't that funny? It's so weird because they're so beautiful. I mean, really, they're beautiful. There's a reason that people do them, because they're beautiful. But I just don't love doing them. It's kind of like doing back stitching. You know, Blitz Stitch, Brian, he has almost finished his Sandy Cooler design, the skaters, and it's stunning. I mean, it is stunning. But you know what? I would never stitch that design in a million years because the back stitching scares the poop right out of me, because I can't imagine how much work that back stitching would take. And I just can't do it. Isn't that silly? I mean, that is ridiculous. Talk about being a big baby. But I really like Gerald's mushroom. And I also really like to be a joiner. So I purchased his mushroom, and I am going to figure out a way how to make it work for me. And I think that it's going to be really a good way for me to step outside my box and try my own hand at, you know, a little bit of creativity. Now, speaking of creativity, you may remember that I mentioned that I had designed a little pattern myself. And I had given it to a few friends to stitch, and a couple of them have finished. Crafty Kim finished a version of it, and I think my friend Verena in Germany also has finished hers as well. And when I have that pattern ready, when I'm happy with it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post it as a downloadable file in our Facebook group, the Friday Off the Grid. And it's just going to be there as a little freebie thank you for you guys, for everybody that's part of the group and joining in this crazy thing that we have been doing. So it's funny because Gerald's is a mushroom, and my little pattern that I designed, you may remember Henry the Gnome. Well, Henry the Gnome features prominently. Well, Henry and his buddies are in my little design. So I'm hoping maybe on Monday or by next Friday, I will have that design ready to pop up in the Facebook group. But go check out Gerald's design. He did a lovely job. I'm pretty proud of him. He worked really hard on it. All right, now what am I doing? Almost out of thread here. Okay, there was something else rather special that I wanted to share with you guys today. And I hope that there are lots of you out there who haven't heard what I'm going to tell you about, so that it's something brand new that you can get excited about. Either that or I'm going to tell you about something that everybody's like, of course, we already knew all about that. I've been watching that for years and you're not telling us anything that's a great big deal. Anyways, it doesn't matter. If you know about it and this is old hat to you, well, keep stitching. I am a lover of birds, a lover of most wildlife, and, domesticated animals as well. Animals, you name it. I love them. And I have, over the last few years, I have become a little bit addicted to watching webcam feeds that are placed where you can watch the animals, having, they're young and feeding them and raising them and living, and especially birds. I love, love, love birds. And last year, I watched the bald eagle cam that was on I believe it was a tulip tree, or was it a tulip tree? It was in the White House garden. The White House, what is it called? It's about 2 miles from the White House. It's your version of the botanical gardens. Botanical gardens that we have here in Canada. Presidential garden, something like that. Anyways, there's a nesting pair of bald eagles in a tulip tree there. And last year was their 2nd or 3rd year that they had nested in that tree. And they had a webcam set up on it. And, you get to watch everything. You get to watch them nest and lay the eggs, and the babies hatch. If all goes well, you still have to keep in mind that this is nature and things happen in nature that we can't control. So there is definitely the potential for heartbreak. So the Washington pair fledged 2 baby eaglets last year, and watching them, I watched right from the day that the eggs hatched right up until the babies left the nest, right up until the day that they flew for the first time. And I became so involved and so attached to the video feed of watching these birds. It was so, so great, so fun, and just such a special thing. And so this year I am watching, there's 2 feeds that I like to watch at the moment. The first one is in Southwest Florida. At the end of December, there's a pair in Southwest Florida who hatched 2 babies. So 2 eaglets at the end of December. And today, as of this morning, the mother was feeding them. Well, both parents, I think both parents feed, but it's usually mostly the mother that feeds, and the father, dad goes and gets the fish, and you see it, drops the fish in the nest, and it is astonishing. I mean, these creatures are absolutely majestic, just phenomenal. And so the ones in Florida have hatched. The babies are a few weeks old. They're quite big. They're quite ugly. They are really quite ugly, but it's that sort of ugly cute, and you just think, I can't stop watching them. I cannot stop watching them. So I watched that feed, and I also now discovered that there's another a webcam feed on a nest that is in Pittsburgh. and it's called the Pittsburgh Haze. Now what I'm going to do is I've actually got my iPad here, so I'm going to see if I can quickly bring that up to show you. So let's see. Just hang on a second. Okay, so it's called the Haze, that's Hays, Bald Eagles live stream. And now what I'm going to do is, oh, excuse me. As you can tell, there's sound as well. And we're in luck because look, somebody's on the perch. Isn't that amazing? This is live, you guys. So it is 3:15. 3:15. We're at the same time as Pittsburgh. It's 3:15. And he or she is perched. There's 2 or 3 different cameras trained on this nest. They have not laid their eggs yet. They most likely will lay their eggs most likely by the middle to end of February. And so there you go. The Pittsburgh Hays Bald Eagles. You guys, I could watch this feed all day long. It's better than a movie for me. Isn't that just the most astonishing thing ever? Oh, well, thank you for humoring me. I hope that if you had never seen that before, that you check it out, and I hope that it brings you some pleasure as well, because I love it. I love it so much. I'm going to keep that on now for the rest of the time while I'm stitching. Just in the background. The eagle is keeping me company while I'm stitching and keeping you company. And I tell you, when the eggs are laid and you know that they've been incubated long enough and then you're waiting for the eggs to hatch, last year when it happened, I kept checking. Like, I would wake up every hour and I would turn on my iPad and I would check to see if the babies had been born yet. You really become invested in what's happening. There's also quite a story about the eagles in Pittsburgh, and apparently the Canadian government had a hand in helping the population of the bald eagle in the area, helping it improve in number. So I thought that was kind of cool, being that I'm Canadian. So I hope that you thought that was a little bit of a treat, because it's certainly a treat for me. And I hope that you liked that I shared it with you. I will put a link to that live video feed in my drop-down menu in case you have any trouble finding it. The other website that I really enjoy is audubon.org, which, you know, Audubon is the bird place to be. They have bird cams as well. And yesterday I watched puffins on the Atlantic puffins, and they have what they call a loafing ledge feed. So these puffins are just hanging out on the ocean, you know, beside the ocean. Beautiful view, beautiful birds. I seriously could watch it all day. So funny. Look, I finished it. Not too bad. Isn't that pretty? Oh, so pretty. All right, let's end that thread. There we go. Now I'm going to get ready for the next, because I know where that one needs to be. I'll just start this next small motif here. Get my first stitch in, because I have one more thing to show you today. 2 weeks ago, someone asked me whether I remembered my very first project or if I still had my very first project. I think it was Tanya. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was Tanya from Australia who asked that. And so I was in Niagara last weekend and I saw my mom and dad, and my mom, sure enough, she said, "Oh, I knew you were going to ask me for that." So she had already brought it out and had it ready for me to bring home to show you. And she said I could only borrow it. She said she wanted it right back when I was done showing it to you. So as you can tell, I don't think she uses it per se as a pincushion. She keeps it as what I like to think of as a bit of a treasure, I think, because I think she has kept it awfully nice all these years. So this is it. This was my very, very first project. Way back when. I think I was 14. And as you can tell, it's a pincushion. Now I had a little look at it and I thought I did a pretty good job on my blind stitching there as a 14-year-old. The other sides, as you can tell, I guess that side no. Yeah, I did a pretty good job. And it looks like whatever problem there was in the pattern, I corrected somehow. So yeah, that was my very, very first project. So there you go. Now I've kept it safe and I've shown you, and I can give it back to my mom. It's fun to look at these things, isn't it? Think of how many years that is that I've been stitching now. I'll give you a hint. It's almost, well, no, you don't need to know. Oh, you already know how old I am. I'm 43, and I stitched that when I was 14, so you do the math. I've been stitching for a long time, but that's okay. In that time, I've learned that I don't like specialty stitches. Okay, so that is what I had to share with you today, and I can see from my time on my recording here that I'm almost at 45 minutes, and I really would like to try and get this video up by 6 o'clock tonight, because I am ready, so ready to party with the rest of you. And I know that technically you're partying with me while you're listening to this, but I need to get myself ready to party with you. So I am going to say goodbye, and I'm going to go and get this video edited and uploaded so that I can share it with you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Please check out the Facebook group Friday Off the Grid. I hope that you'll join us over there. I hope that you'll check out all of the other floss tubers who provide both Stitch With Me videos and regular episodes. There is just hours and hours and hours of wonderful, wonderful viewing. You know, just so entertaining, such terrific projects, beautiful, beautiful work. And we have a list of the Stitch With Me videos. We have a list of Stitch With Me videos on the Facebook group. If you have a video and you're not part of the group, or you haven't added it to the list yet, make sure that you do, so that we can come and visit your channel as well. And don't forget to watch out for a little extra short video from me this weekend. And that's it from me. So happy stitching. I'll see you on Facebook tonight, and I will see you on Monday for a regular episode. Happy stitching, guys. Bye.